Good morning, everyone. Today we are starting with chapter number 1, Introduction to Database Concepts. And learning outcomes for this chapter are to explain the concept of database and database management system with the help of examples, to differentiate between file system and DBMS, to infer the importance of DBMS in daily routine of a person. The flow of the presentation would be in this way. First, database definition, then what are the properties of a database, what do we mean by flat file system, flat file system disadvantages, DBMS definition, flat file versus DBMS, importance of DBMS, and designing a database. So database is a very commonly used term these days. We talk about any electronics application, any computer application, any application or any piece of software which runs on your machine. It has to have a database associated with it, which will take care of the input as well as the output data for that application. So let's first focus on the formal definition of a database. A database is a collection of related data, and this data is nothing but the facts that can be recorded and that have implicit meaning. Whenever we'll talk about data, this data has to be related. You just cannot put any random data together and say it refers to a database. This data has to have a connection between them. And also, this data should refer or should point towards a specific real-time context. This data, by just looking at the data, you should understand that it is related to a real-life situation. That is what we mean by implicit meaning. Now, what are the expected properties of a database? Or should I say, what do you look at the collection of related, when you look at a collection of related data, how do you come up to an inference that yes, it actually belongs to a database and it's just not there? So the first property is this data should represent a part of a universe, that is universe of discourse or mini world. That is first thing. By that we mean a database is always created for a real-time problem. For example, if you have a big hospital and you would like to store the information about this hospital, and this hospital is not a standalone hospital, it has a chain across multiple cities. You would like to store the information of patients, doctors, all the surgeries that have happened in the hospitals. So whenever you would like to save all of this data together at one place with respect to all the hospitals, it means you are kind of considering a hospital management system. This hospital becomes the universe of discourse for this problem. And you will be storing data with respect to this universe of discourse or mini world. Hence, we'll have a database for this real-time problem. Whatever changes you'll be doing in this database, they'll be reflected in real time. And also, as already explained, you cannot just randomly put any data together. It has to have a meaning and it has to have connection with the other data. You always design a database with a purpose. You need to, before actually coming up with the design of a database, you have to know who is your target audience, who will be the people who will be using your database. Keeping their requirements and their needs in mind, then you create a database. Now, just a quick small quiz. You can see two options here, option A, option B. Option A is a database which contains data about doctors, patients, treatment, and wards. Option B is a database which contains data about employees, customers, products, and furniture. As you can see, in none of the options, I have actually mentioned the name of the real-time problem for which these databases have been created. But even if that would have been me telling you explicitly what's the name of the database. But by just looking at the data of first database, that is data over here is data of doctors, patients, treatments, and wards, you have to tell me whether this actually refers to a correct database. This is in alignment with the actual definition of a database. You can see in option B, you have to find a very close connection between employees, customers, products, and furniture. If in case you are not able to find a close connection or any relation between these things, then maybe this actually is just data put together. It's not the actual correct database. So please select the correct option. Now, after you know what is a database, let's talk about flat file system. So the first thing when I say flat file, the first thing that should come to your mind is text files, comma separated files, which are also known as .csv files, Excel spreadsheets. This is the first thing that should come to your mind. In fact, sometimes we get to see binary files in case of our Windows system in the form of 0 and 1. That is also a flat file. Flat file is something which never has a connection with another flat file. It always is a standalone file. There is no way of establishing connection between two flat files. That is a very important thing that you should be knowing. And usually data is stored in the flat files in plain text format, and it was first developed and implemented in the early 1970s by IBM. That is something general information that you should be knowing. Now let's quickly have a look at an example. You can see I have this is a picture, and I have deliberately taken a picture of a spreadsheet because spreadsheet is a very common general example of a flat file. We can see this spreadsheet is named as orderdetail.xlsx. There is another spreadsheet which is named as employee.xlsx. As we can see in order detail, we have details of every order which has been placed in the company. There is order ID, what was the price of that order, and who was the employee who was responsible for the completion of that order, the age of the employee, the gender of the employee, and his contact number. That is order detail. And as you can see, there is another spreadsheet which is called employee.xlsx, which has information of all the employees of the company. You can see there is employee ID, employee name, age, gender, and contact. So yes, as I always remember, while creating a flat file system, there is no predefined strategy or a process how a flat file system should be designed. By just your intuition, by your understanding of what exactly is to be done, there is no predefined methodology which should be followed for creating a flat file system. Whatever your understanding is, you just put it in a spreadsheet. That is what we want to have information of order details, and we have information of employees. So you have two spreadsheets. So this is, we all know what happens in a spreadsheet. You can always copy paste data in a spreadsheet. I can copy paste data of order, maybe into the employee also. I can maybe sort the data in a spreadsheet. All these small things we can do in spreadsheets. So right now you have a company and you have stored information of order details and employees of company in two spreadsheets. The first and foremost thing you need to know is there are a lot of disadvantages of a flat file system, and we'll see how the details of these disadvantage systems, these flat file systems. The first disadvantage is redundancy and inconsistency. Second is difficulty in accessing the data isolation, integrity problems, atomicity of updates, concurrent access by multiple users not possible, security problems. So these 7 points, it's a short answer also for if anybody asks you what is the disadvantage of flat file system. You have to say these 7 points. You can't change the wording of these 7 points. You have to write at least the heading of these points as it is. Now, I would like to relate these disadvantages with the example that we just saw in the previous slide. As we all know, this is order detail table. Should I say order detail spreadsheet? This is an employee spreadsheet. The first disadvantage is data redundancy and inconsistency. So even if I don't explain much here, you all can see we have order 101, which was taken care of by an employee called John. But there is another order called 400, which was also taken care of by John. That is okay. But then in front of John, we have also the details like his age, his gender, and his contact. Okay. There is also another spreadsheet which has in general information of all the employees, where we have John, his age, his gender, his contact, and then he has a specific ID also. This can be maybe the identity which is put on his iCard. And I would like to know what are the IDs of all the employees. So we have a separate employee spreadsheet. Now, let's say John leaves my company and I would not like to keep his record. When I say record, it means a single row that you can see here. I would not like to keep this single row or record of John in the employee. Let's say I right click and delete it from the spreadsheet. But then you have to also remember that maybe this data related to John is also present in some other spreadsheet. For example, in order detail table, you have data with respect to John because John has taken care of 2 orders. So now you would be like, okay, I want to get rid of this John record from here and from here also. If you delete the record of John from these 2 rows, you might end up losing information with respect to order ID and order 400 also. Do you see the kind of inconsistency it might lead to? Because John right now is not at all working with you and you would not like to keep his information in your spreadsheet. Let's say you delete this information from employee table. But there is some information with respect to John in order detail also. If you delete these records, you might end up losing order ID records also. So you might come up with an answer, okay, I won't delete the John record from order detail. But then you don't have any employee in employee table with the name John. So this is data redundancy, repetition of the data in multiple places. And deleting from one place might lead to inconsistent data in another place. Next is difficulty in accessing data. Okay, so in real life situation, when you will have a spreadsheet, you won't have 5 rows in a spreadsheet. If you're actually storing information of order details of a company in a spreadsheet, you will see the total, maybe, from this, since the inception of the company, 5,000 orders have been actually, made, or 5,000 orders have been successfully placed with this company. So you will have 5,000 rows in a spreadsheet. And let's say you just want to get the information of first 6 orders or last 100 rows or last 100 orders. How do you do that in a spreadsheet? We all scroll. We keep scrolling till we actually reach at the top of the Excel. Not only that, this is me showing you only 6 columns. When you are storing so much of information in a single spreadsheet, instead of 6 columns, you have 1,000 columns also. Okay, 1,000 becomes too much, maybe 30 columns you have. So in order to look at the record of order ID 101, you have to keep scrolling towards right direction till you reach that 30th column in which you are interested in. So there is difficulty in accessing the data. Third is data isolation. As I told you, there is no way by which you can create a connection between these two sheets. If you delete something from this spreadsheet, you might have to check 3 other spreadsheets just to know that you won't like to keep anything in those other spreadsheets which has already been deleted from the employee spreadsheet. And that's why the term data isolation. Data is separated from each other. You cannot, there is no mechanism by which you can do changes in one spreadsheet and at the same time make sure that whatever change you've done in the spreadsheet, if it is affecting any other data in other spreadsheet, that should also get affected on its own. That doesn't happen in spreadsheets. Next is integrity problems. So let's say I would like to mention here that by mistake, let's say I'm entering an order detail in the order detail spreadsheet and let's say there is order ID 500, price is 3,000, employee name is Meena, her age is 28 and her gender is female, but instead of female, by mistake, let's say I'm writing Y or Z. So to put such constraint in a spreadsheet that it should accept only M or F value, it's a very small level constraint I'm talking about. Putting such constraints is quite, it's not possible. See, you might think, no, I'm very good at Excel formulas. I can write small Excel formulas for these small things, but your constraints can be really complex. For example, the contact number of a person should not exceed in this example, it should not exceed, let's say, 6 digits. So writing such kind of constraints where you would like to restrict the kind of data that should be entered in every cell or the limit of the data, your data in the cell should not exceed a specific number. Putting such constraints in spreadsheets, or should I say flat files, it's very difficult, or should I say it's next to impossible. Next is atomicity of updates. Atomicity of updates, I've already explained this. Atomicity of update means if you change, let's say there is this employee table. After a month, John comes. John is an employee. He informs his store manager that his age has been incorrectly entered as 34 in the spreadsheet. It's actually, let's say, 38. So the store manager might end up doing the change in the employee table, but he might not just do the change in order detail table. But ideally, there should be change in the order detail table also for the age of John. 34 should be changed to 38. Atomicity of updates. Atomicity means either update for a specific data or a specific object should be done everywhere, or you don't do the update at all. And especially in case of flat files, because there is replication of data, so updating a single thing at the same time across multiple spreadsheets, that's a big challenge in flat file systems. And as we all know, for example, if you are working on an Excel file order detail on your machine, and this order detail ka copy is also with some other person B, and he has also opened it on his machine. You might end up doing changes in your copy of the Excel, and the other person might end up doing changes in his copy of Excel. But ideally, whatever changes you do, they should be reflected in the and whatever changes he does, they should be together reflected in the same file at the same time. But that's not happening. You people are doing changes at your own ends, and then you'll have to manually incorporate those changes in the file, in the master file. Or in other way, I can say, if for some reason a transaction is done by you, for example, a debit there is a debit amount, money, there is some amount debited from your account, let's say 500 rupees. And you enter in Excel in front of your name. Now, instead of 2000 rupees, you have 1500 rupees in the account. But because at one time, and before the debit actually had happened, this copy was also made available to another person B on his machine. Even if you are doing the change in your Excel file, you are changing the amount from 2000 to 1500 because a debit has happened in your account. The person B doesn't know that has to be done. He might still be working on the old details. That is, your amount balance is 2000. That is, why is it happening? Because concurrent access is not being given to the people at the same time. People are having multiple copies of the same data on their machine, but they are not doing changes at the same time, or whatever change is done by the one person, that change is not being reflected immediately into the master file, which is being visible to the other system. So concurrent access by multiple users is not possible in a normal spreadsheet or in a flat file system. Next is security problems. We all know you might want that specific spreadsheet or specific flat file should be visible to only managers. Specific flat file should be visible to only operational staff. All these files are actually present in one database. There is one database folder which has multiple Excel, that is multiple spreadsheets. You want different kind of access for the different Excel files. But creating such kind of hierarchy with a flat file system, it's not possible. So even if I would want to explain these points to you, this is something that you can always, figure out on your own. You can open an Excel sheet, see what all you can do, what all you cannot do with an Excel sheet. You can try it. So once I have explained to you what are the disadvantages of a flat system, I would like to explain what is a database management system. Because a flat file system has so many disadvantages, there is a solution for all of this, and that is nothing but database management system. We'll first of all go through the definition of database management system. It's a general purpose software system that facilitates the process of defining, constructing, manipulating, and sharing the databases among various users and applications. Okay, so this definition might sound a little heavy. We'll kind of break down this definition in several small parts. We'll understand what each part means, and then we'll go to the next part of the discussion. The first thing is, what's a general purpose software? So general purpose software is like a predefined term. It's a very commonly used term to define different software applications. General purpose means that your system or your this management system is not doing only one kind of task. It is doing multiple tasks. That's the term. That's why the term general purpose. By general purpose means DBMS doesn't do only one kind of thing. It does multiple things together. What are those multiple things it is doing together? It is defining, it is constructing, it is manipulating, and it is sharing the databases among various users. So till this point, we have discussed what's a database. We have discussed what's a flat file system. We saw what were the disadvantages of a flat file system. So now, what is an improvement over a flat file system? An improvement over a flat file system is DBMS, Database Management System. We'll see the definition of DBMS actually has all the has the solution of all the disadvantages of a flat file system. So even if you remember the definition of a DBMS, you remember the definition of flat files, you can quickly come up with the differences between the two. So please have a look over here. What does we know? DBMS is a general purpose software, and it helps you to define, construct, manipulate, and share the databases. When I say define, DBMS management software will take care of databases. How does it take care of database? It takes care of a database in terms of defining the kind of data that your database can store. For example, let's say I would like I want to store gender of a person in a database, and this gender of a person should be expressed in terms of only N or F and not in terms of 0 or 1. So you'll restrict the type of data to only text, so that no numeric number can be entered. It's a constraint that you're putting in the type of the data. Let's say you want that income of a person should not be entered beyond 80,000. So that even if a person enters any number beyond 80,000 under income property of a person, he would get an error that you can't do that. That's you defining what kind of data your database can accept. Next is, you also, you don't only define what kind of data your database can accept, you also define exactly where that data should be stored. So you must always remember, by default, whenever you're working on any Excel sheet that is a flat file, whenever you are, so what all operations you're doing in Excel file, they all are happening in RAM. Your RAM of your machine, even if you are working only on a cell, the whole Excel file gets loaded into the RAM, and then the whole operation happens on a specific cell. But that's not the case with your databases, with your database management system. Database management system won't load the whole database first of all. It decides and defines where the data should be stored on the storage medium, so that your whole data doesn't get exactly always stored in the memory of the machine, which is always limited. That is one of the very good features of DBMS. The another feature is it allows a lot of manipulation on the data which is present in the database. So you very much understand when you have Excel sheets, max you can do sort, ascending, descending, find an element, replace an element, cut, copy, paste. If you want to get information from multiple files together, which are in a database, and if you are managing the database with the help of DBMS, it becomes really easy to query such different files because they have a connection with each other. And updation, if you update one thing in a specific file, and if there is any other information or data in any other file which is related to the change that you just did, then that file will also get updated on its own. You don't have to worry about the replication factors. You don't have to worry about the inconsistency. You don't have to worry about the isolation problems. Some other problems that we had discussed were, we had concurrent access and security problems. Also, DBMS allows multiple users, multiple programs to access your database at the same time. So this was quite obvious because these are kind of solutions to the disadvantages of flat file system. There are two more features of a DBMS. That is system protection. It provides you system protection, and it also provides you with security protection. This definitely is not included in the major definition of DBMS, but by system protection, we mean if in case you're working, let's say, on a database management system, which is used to manage the data in a database. We are not making use of flat files here. Let's say if there is any hardware or software failure, some corruption happens, the changes which are being done by you, they are still stored. They don't just get removed because some hardware software corruption has happened, because there are a lot of recovery mechanisms in DBMS. Also, you can provide different level of authorization access to the different users. CEO, your managers, your operational staff, they all can have access to different kinds of files. And how do you provide this different kind of access to multiple users? It is with the help of the security feature of DBMS. You can also prevent any malicious access to any piece of information with the help of your DBMS. Actually, DBMS provides you with all the features which are nothing but the solutions to the disadvantages of the flat file system. So before we actually discuss a direct question that you can expect in an exam is flat file system versus DBMS system. So we'll be going to that part in the next slide. But before that, now because you understand what's a database, you know what is data, you know why DBMS is different from flat files, what are the disadvantages of flat files. If I tell you in daily routine, where exactly you think database and DBMS is getting used. You get up early in the morning, you use your phone, you go to your college, you access different experiments on Moodle. Then after that, you might go to home. You will watch a TV. You'll watch TV. You'll watch a movie on a TV. You might take your vitamin C supplements if you want to take. I'm just laying out a routine of a normal person. In the daily routine of a person, where do you think database and database management system is being used? Let's have a quick look. What I think where the DBMS and database at the back end it's getting used and we don't even know. We are just using those applications. So the first very common thing is your online streaming media, that is Netflix. So much data, so much information you get to see on the screen. It has to be stored somewhere. At the back end, it's getting stored somewhere. That is, you need a database for that. Financial institutions, banking institutions. Talk about the weather prediction that you get to see on TV every day. Law enforcement companies. E-commerce applications. You buy, credit transactions, debit, purchasing, whatever you do. We talk about healthcare. We talk about educators creating content, teaching you, uploading it somewhere. That they at the back end, where is it getting saved? You need database and DBMS for that. Library management system. When I say library management system here, I don't actually mean only a small libraries or any library that you see in colleges. Every institution, every organization has its own library of books. In all these institutions, in these companies, there is some library management system which is being used. And if it's a computerized library management system, you have to have a database and DBMS for that. Online gaming, social gaming that you all do. And we can't forget about the research part. All these scientists, these doctors, engineers, research fellows who are doing research on so much of data set that they get. This data set can be geospatial data, this can be satellite data. They do so much of processing on this data. They come up with the observations. If you have to come up with the observations on data, you need to first store data somewhere. Where do you store the data? You require database and DBMS software for that. So now, yes, as I said, this is the quiz time. I won't be giving you solution of what's a file system versus DBMS solution. I'll be giving you certain questions and you have to come up with the answers. And that will actually make it clear to you what's the difference between file system and DBMS. Thank you.